Hello. Hello, my dears. How are you? This has been another beautiful day. Do you realize that we have been sheltered in for about 51 days? Wow, that is mind-boggling for me to know that I have been in this pandemic state for a while. How are you feeling? I'm feeling a little off some days. I took a drive today and it felt awkward seeing a lot of the stores with signs up saying, "We miss you." Well, I miss you, and I certainly hope that you're doing well, which is why we even started this pandemic thriving, just trying to make sure that we reached out to each other, because being socially isolated can be depressing. But if you have someone that you can talk to, someone that you know is going to be there, it makes it a little better. So I'm trusting that you're hanging in there. I know we all have our ups and downs, and we just have to keep our antennas up to say, okay, how am I feeling? And I'm being truthful with you. I am feeling just a little off. But it was good to get out. And so I'm thankful for you. I'm beaming a little love across the miles. And actually, that's probably what I want to talk about today, just briefly, is about the language of love. And if I had a wonderful voice, I'd sing the song that Diana Ross used to sing back in the day. Of course, I know you guys aren't aware of her, but she'd sing this song that said, "Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place if you can." And that's what we've been doing, trying to make our world, our pandemic world, a better place by reaching out virtually and touching each other. Remember, we said we could not touch, and that was the whole basis for thriving, babies needing a touch to thrive, needing to be held. And so the question was, as we begin, how are we going to thrive if we can't touch each other? And that is an interesting thing. So I want to speak a little bit about the language of love, because we know that just like I was feeling a little off, we know that each other, we're going to feel a little off. And so how do we reach out and show a little love? Well, the difficulty might arise if you are not aware of the languages of love. You know, there are 5 languages of love. I hope I get them right. I should be able to remember 5. I know 1 is physical touch, 1 is words of affirmation, 1 is act of service, and 1 is time. And I know I'm missing 1, gifts. And it's interesting because years ago when I explored the languages of love, first it was written for children before it got it for adults. And I noticed that my grandchild, she was just interested in gifts. Give me the gifts. And, she wasn't getting her gifts, and she just didn't seem to be satisfied. So I started wondering about, well, what is her language? Because you want to make sure that a person feels love, but you have to know their language. Frequently, their language is what they do for you, because sometimes people love you the way they think you want to be loved, which is how they like to be loved. And I know my language of love is time. If you spend time with me, then I know that you love me. Now, I'm not saying gifts aren't all bad. I don't mind receiving gifts. But how do you show a person, your friend, love virtually when they're miles and miles away? You want to cheer them up. They might have had a day when they were just disoriented or just sad or just of having a difficult work time or whatever it is. How do you show that person a little love? Well, first you got to know, do they like gifts? Should I send them something, flowers, or do they just want me to give them some words of affirmation, affirming the things that they do? Or we can't physically touch them. That's one of the reasons that we're having challenges dealing with loneliness and all of those things that relate it with being able to hug someone. But we can send a virtual hug, which is what we've been doing. So I just want you to be aware of finding out the language of love that your friend speaks, so that during this pandemic season, you can give them the love that is so desperately needed in the time that it's needed, but you are going to have to know what their language is. I have a person whose language of love is time, just like mine. And if they were here, I would just go and sit with them, because I knew that it would take time for us just to be together. You just weren't going to blurt out anything. It would take time for us to just be together. And then after we had spent time being together and just sitting, then the conversation would flow, and then we would do things together. And so if your person's language is time, then you got to give them a little time. And so how do you do that? Well, I'm sure you can be creative in doing that, but it is important to take the time to figure out what love language to speak, because we all need a little loving in this crazy time. We're hearing that they're going to start opening up the world. The world is an angry place right now in some respects. And of course, we are aware of what anger and those negative emotions, how that impacts the brain and the mood regulators. So we want to make sure we give a little love to each other, reach out and touch one another, just as we are doing, and we will continue to do as long as we can. So I just want to remind you that you are loved. You definitely are. We care about you. We're sending you a little love, and I just wanted to pause from whatever else we've been saying, just to say that it's time to show a little love. This is a difficult period, filled with so many traumatic things on numerous levels. It can hit our mind, our body, our spirit, our social community. And so we need to spend just a little time giving a little love. And actually, that is like a healing balm. So be loved. Know that we love you. I love you. And I'll talk to you another time. Be safe and have a good night.